1 week before the wedding, Sophia did something that almost broke her. She had to sell the performance of her life. She invited Adrian to dinner at her apartment. Candles, wine, soft music. She wore his favorite dress. She smiled at him like nothing was wrong. "I've been thinking," Sophia said, taking his hand across the table. "About us. About our future." Adrian squeezed her hand, his face softening with false tenderness. "Me too. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you." Sophia forced herself to maintain eye contact. "I know I've been stressed with wedding planning. I might have seemed distant sometimes. I just want you to know that I trust you completely. With everything. My heart, my life, my family's business. You've been so good to us." Something flickered in Adrian's eyes. Relief? Satisfaction? He pulled her hand to his lips and kissed it. "You have no idea how much that means to me. Your trust is everything." Liar, Sophia thought. But she smiled sweetly. "I'm so lucky to have found you." That night, Adrian stayed over. Sophia lay next to him in the dark, listening to him breathe, wondering how someone could lie so easily. How could he hold her and plan to destroy her at the same time? How could he kiss her with the same mouth that kissed Victoria? She didn't sleep that night. She just watched him, memorizing this moment. The last time he would ever think he had won. Victoria's last betrayal. 2 days before the wedding, Victoria came over for a final dress fitting. She brought champagne and snacks, bouncing with fake excitement. "I can't believe it's almost here," Victoria squealed. "My best friend is getting married." Sophia watched her in the mirror as the seamstress adjusted the hem of the wedding dress. Victoria had always been beautiful. Blonde hair, perfect smile, bubbly personality. Everyone loved her. No one would ever suspect she was capable of such calculated cruelty. "Victoria," Sophia said carefully, "can I ask you something?" "Remember," Patricia coached, "you need to be clear and calm. Don't let emotion take over. State the facts. Let the evidence speak." Sophia stood in front of them, imagining she was at the altar with 200 people watching. She took a deep breath. "Before we continue with this ceremony, there's something everyone needs to know. The man standing beside me, Adrian Blackwood, is not who you think he is. For the past year, he has been systematically stealing from my father's company. He has embezzled $2.3 million through fake accounts and shell corporations. I have documentation of every transaction." Her voice remained steady. Patricia nodded approvingly. "Additionally, Adrian has been having an affair with my maid of honor, Victoria, since before we even met. They planned this together. Their goal was to marry me, take control of my family's assets, and then divorce me while keeping everything they stole. I have photos, text messages, and video evidence of their relationship and their plans." Marcus watched her carefully, looking for any sign that she might break. Sophia continued. "I've spent the past 2 months gathering evidence with the help of lawyers, investigators, and forensic accountants. The police have been notified. Arrest warrants have been prepared. This wedding is not happening. But everyone deserves to know the truth about these 2 people before they hurt anyone else." She finished and looked at Patricia and Marcus. "How was that?" Patricia smiled. "Perfect. Cold, clear, devastating. He won't know what hit him. He'll try to talk his way out of it," Marcus warned. "He's good at that. He'll cry, he'll apologize, he'll try to make you look crazy or vindictive." "I know," Sophia said. "That's why I'm going to have the evidence projected on screens. Photos, documents, text messages. Everything visible to everyone. He can't charm his way out of what people can see with their own eyes." The fake forgiveness. Sophia's lawyer, a fierce woman named Patricia Hayes, had been building their case like a general planning a war. She sat across from Sophia in her office, reviewing every document with methodical precision. "Here's what we have," Patricia said, making a list. "Financial fraud and embezzlement from Carter Enterprises. Documentation of an affair that proves intent to defraud through marriage. Forged signatures on several documents. Communication that shows premeditation. And witnesses who can testify to his pattern of behavior." "Is it enough?" Sophia asked. Patricia smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who loved winning. "It's enough to put him in prison for 10 to 15 years. It's enough to recover every penny he stole. It's enough to make sure he never works in business again. And it's enough to make Victoria an accessory to fraud." "Victoria too?" Sophia hadn't thought about that part. "She helped him," Patricia explained. She distracted you while he stole from your family. She encouraged you to trust him. She's all over those text messages discussing the plan. She's not just the other woman. She's a co-conspirator. Sophia thought about Victoria, her best friend since college. They had shared everything. Late-night talks about their dreams. Support through breakups and failures. Celebrations of successes. Victoria had been a bridesmaid at Sophia's sister's wedding. She had been there when Sophia's grandmother died. And the entire time, she had been planning to help destroy Sophia's life. Good, Sophia said coldly. She deserves everything she gets. The rehearsal of truth. 3 days before the wedding, Sophia practiced her speech in front of Marcus and Patricia. They sat in Patricia's office, the door locked, the blinds drawn. This was the most important performance of Sophia's life, and she needed to get it perfect. Good, Sophia said quietly. Because I'm going to need it to be perfect. The affair documentation. The private investigator, a former police detective named James, had been following Adrian and Victoria for 6 weeks. He met Sophia in a parking garage, handing her a thick envelope like they were in a spy movie. This is everything, James said. Photos, videos, hotel receipts, text messages we recovered from phone records. It's not pretty. Sophia opened the envelope in her car, her hands steady. Inside were dozens of photos. Adrian and Victoria at romantic restaurants, kissing in parking lots, entering hotels together, leaving hours later with satisfied smiles. But the text messages were worse. Sophia read through them, each one a knife to her heart. Victoria, only 2 more months until she's out of the picture. Then we can finally be together. Adrian, I know, baby, but we have to be patient. Once we're married, I'll have access to everything. Then we can divorce her and take half. Plus everything I've already moved offshore. Victoria, I feel bad sometimes. She really loves you. Adrian, she's naive. It's actually annoying how much she trusts me. But it makes this easier. Victoria, what if she finds out? Adrian, she won't. She's too busy planning centerpieces and picking out cake flavors. She has no idea how business works. Her father treats her like a princess who needs protecting. She'll never see it coming. Sophia read that last message 3 times. Adrian thought she was weak, helpless, stupid. He had no idea that she had learned business strategy by watching her father build an empire from nothing. He didn't know that she had a degree in finance, which she downplayed because Adrian's ego couldn't handle a woman being smarter than him. He was about to learn exactly how wrong he had been. The legal strategy. Adrian is good, one of the lawyers told Sophia during a late-night meeting. But he's not as good as he thinks. He's gotten lazy because he's never been caught. He leaves trails. And trails were exactly what Sophia needed. The financial web. The forensic accountant, a sharp woman named Dr. Chun, spread financial statements across Sophia's dining room table. It was 2 in the morning. Sophia had told Adrian she was at a bachelorette spa weekend. Instead, she was learning exactly how he planned to rob her family blind. Here, Dr. Chun pointed to a transfer from 6 months ago. This is when it started. Adrian convinced your father to consolidate some accounts for better interest rates. But look at where the money actually went. Sophia followed the trail with her finger. The money had been moved through 3 different shell companies, each one registered to addresses that didn't exist, before landing in an offshore account. Whose account? Sophia asked, though she already knew. Technically, a corporation called Blackwood Investments. But Adrian is the only person with access. Dr. Chin pulled up more documents. He's taken $2.3 million from Carter Enterprises over the past 6 months. Small amounts, spread out, hidden in legitimate-looking transactions. Your father never noticed because Adrian made sure to target accounts that weren't checked regularly. Sophia felt sick, not just because of the theft, but because Adrian had stolen from her father. Her father, who had welcomed Adrian into the family with open arms, who had trusted him, who had started thinking about retirement because he believed Adrian would take care of everything. Can we prove this in court? Sophia asked. Dr. Chin smiled. Absolutely. I've traced every dollar. I have dates, amounts, account numbers, everything. He's been so careful to hide it from your family, but he never expected anyone to actually look. This is ironclad evidence. Sophia woke up to 73 text messages. Friends and family sending love and excitement for the wedding day tomorrow. Victoria had sent 12 messages alone, mostly about last-minute details and how emotional she was feeling. Adrian had sent a long, romantic paragraph about how he couldn't wait to call her his wife. Sophia read every message with a coffee in hand, her face expressionless. Each word of false love and fake friendship fueled the cold fire burning inside her. She responded to everyone with enthusiastic emojis and sweet words, playing her part perfectly. Then she opened her secure email, the one only Marcus and her legal team knew about. The final documents had arrived overnight. Everything was ready. Building the case. The past 2 months had been the most exhausting of Sophia's life. Every day, she had to be two completely different people. With Adrian, she was the adoring fiancée, helpless with love, trusting him with everything. She asked his opinion on silly things like napkin colors and thanked him for taking care of the boring financial details of merging their lives. "You're so good at this stuff," she would say, watching him sign documents that he thought would give him access to her money. "I don't understand all these numbers. I'm just glad I have you." Adrian would smile, kiss her forehead, and explain things in a condescending tone that made her skin crawl. He thought she was stupid. He actually believed she didn't understand what he was doing. That was his second biggest mistake. But while Sophia played dumb during the day, she worked with razor-sharp intelligence at night. Marcus had introduced her to his entire network of people who had been burned by con artists like Adrian, lawyers who specialized in fraud, accountants who could trace money through the most complicated schemes, private investigators who knew how to document affairs without being detected. "Tomorrow," Sophia said, her voice steady, "everything changes. Tomorrow, the truth comes out. Tomorrow, we all see people for who they really are." Adrian squeezed her hand, misunderstanding completely. He thought she was talking about the joy of marriage, the beginning of their life together. Sophia squeezed back, holding his gaze. "Tomorrow," she repeated, "everything changes." Later that night, alone in her apartment for the last time as a single woman, Sophia couldn't sleep. She reviewed her plans one more time. The evidence was ready. The people who needed to be there would be there. The timing was set. All she had to do was stay calm and follow through. She thought about calling it off, about exposing Adrian quietly, legally, without the drama and spectacle. But that would let him escape. He would find a way to twist the story, to play the victim, to disappear and do this to someone else. No, this had to be public. It had to be complete. It had to be devastating. Sophia looked at her wedding dress hanging in the corner of her room. Tomorrow, she would wear it. Tomorrow, she would walk down that aisle. Tomorrow, she would stand in front of everyone she knew and deliver justice. The old Sophia, the one who had believed in fairy tales and happy endings, was gone. The woman who would wake up tomorrow was someone new, someone harder, someone who would make sure Adrian Blackwood regretted the day he decided to target Sophia Carter. She finally fell asleep as the sun started to rise. Her last thought simple and clear: "Tomorrow, I make them pay." About wearing this dress while destroying the man who was supposed to meet her at the altar. She thought about the moment when everyone would finally see the truth. "I'm the lucky one," Sophia said sweetly. "I have everything I've ever wanted. A beautiful wedding, an amazing best friend, and a man who loves me." Victoria's smile wavered for just a second. Guilt flickered across her face before she hid it behind another sip of champagne. In that moment, Sophia almost felt sorry for her. Victoria had convinced herself that what she was doing was okay somehow. That love justified betrayal. That Sophia would eventually forgive and move on. She had no idea what was coming. None of them did. As Sophia changed back into her regular clothes, she caught Victoria checking her phone and smiling at a message. From Adrian, no doubt. Planning their future together. Counting the money they would steal. Imagining their happily ever after built on lies and cruelty. Let them plan, Sophia thought. Let them dream. It would make the fall so much harder. The night before, the rehearsal dinner was elegant and perfect. Adrian's parents had flown in from California. Sophia's extended family filled the private room of the nicest restaurant in town. Everyone toasted the happy couple. Everyone shared stories about love and commitment. Adrian stood and gave a speech that brought tears to several guests' eyes. He talked about how Sophia had changed his life, how lucky he was to have found her, how he would spend every day making her happy. He looked at her with such false sincerity that Sophia almost laughed. When it was her turn to speak, Sophia stood slowly. She looked around the room at all the faces she loved. Her father, who had built an empire with honest work. Her mother, who had taught her to be strong and kind. Her aunts and uncles and cousins who had celebrated every milestone of her life. 3 weeks before the wedding, Sophia sat down with Marcus over coffee again. They had formed an unlikely partnership, bound by their shared enemy. "Are you sure about this plan?" Marcus asked. "It's risky. It's public. It could backfire." Sophia stirred her coffee slowly. "He humiliated me in private. I'll return the favor in public. And I'll make sure he never does this to anyone else again." "What about Victoria?" "Victoria made her choice," Sophia said coldly. "She'll face the consequences too." Marcus studied her face. "You've changed. Since that first day we met." "Betrayal changes people," Sophia replied. "He wanted to break me. Instead, he made me stronger. That was his biggest mistake." The wedding preparations continued. Sophia played her role flawlessly. She even managed to seem excited when Adrian suggested they merge their bank accounts after the wedding for simplicity. She agreed sweetly, knowing he planned to drain those accounts immediately. She attended her bridal shower, where Victoria gave a touching speech about friendship and loyalty while her phone buzzed with texts from Adrian. Sophia smiled through it all, her jaw aching from the forced happiness. At night, alone in her apartment, Sophia reviewed her plans obsessively. Everything had to be perfect. The timing had to be exact. She had one chance to expose Adrian and Victoria. One chance to protect her father's company. One chance to make them pay for what they had done. The dress fitting. 1 week before the wedding, Sophia stood in the bridal boutique, wearing a stunning white gown that cost more than most people's cars. Victoria sat nearby, sipping champagne, offering opinions on veils and trains. "You look like a princess," Victoria said, her eyes misty with fake tears. "Adrian is so lucky." Sophia turned in front of the mirror, studying her reflection. The woman looking back at her was beautiful, calm, and completely in control. She thought, "I'm going to get married," Sophia said calmly. "I'm going to plan the most beautiful wedding anyone has ever seen. I'm going to smile and laugh and play the happy bride." Marcus frowned, confused. Sophia's smile was ice. "And then, on my wedding day, in front of everyone we know, I'm going to destroy him completely." The strategy. Over the next 2 weeks, Sophia became two different people. With Adrian and Victoria, she was softer, more trusting, more eager to please. She let Adrian make decisions about the wedding. She asked Victoria for advice on everything. She played the role of the naive, love-struck bride perfectly. But in private, she was building a case. She worked with Marcus to gather every piece of evidence against Adrian. She hired a forensic accountant to trace the money Adrian had stolen from Carter Enterprises. She contacted a lawyer specializing in corporate fraud. She hired a private investigator to document Adrian's affair with Victoria. The investigator's report arrived with dozens of photos. Adrian and Victoria at hotels. Adrian and Victoria kissing in parking garages. Text messages recovered from phone records that made Sophia's stomach turn. Plans they had made together. How they would split the money after the wedding. How Victoria would comfort Sophia after Adrian eventually divorced her and took half of everything. "She's been planning this as long as he has," the investigator told Sophia. "They've been together for over a year. Since before he even met you." Sophia studied a photo of Victoria laughing in Adrian's arms. They looked happy. They looked in love. And suddenly, Sophia understood. This wasn't just about money for Victoria. She actually loved Adrian. She was helping him destroy Sophia because she believed they would be together afterward. It made the betrayal worse somehow. More personal. The final preparations. Company over the past 6 months. Look at the new accounts Adrian helped set up. Look at the transfers. Sophia's hands shook as she flipped through pages. Numbers swam before her eyes. Unauthorized transfers. Shell companies. Money disappearing in complicated layers. And Adrian's signature on dozens of documents. Always with her father's trusting approval. "He's been stealing from my father," Sophia said, the reality crashing down on her. Slowly and carefully, Marcus confirmed. "By the time anyone notices, he'll be married to you. He'll have legal protection, access to everything. And when the fraud is discovered, he'll have structured it to look like you or your father authorized everything. He walks away rich. You walk away destroyed." The cold fury. Sophia sat in that coffee shop for 3 hours. Marcus showed her everything. The pattern was clear. Adrian was a professional con artist who targeted successful families. He had done this before. He would do it again. Why didn't anyone stop him? Sophia asked. Embarrassment, Marcus said simply. The families he stole from were wealthy and proud. They settled quietly to avoid scandal. They signed non-disclosure agreements. I was the only one who refused to stay silent, and he destroyed my reputation before I could expose him. Called me unstable, bitter, jealous. No one believed me. I believe you, Sophia said. Marcus looked at her carefully. What are you going to do? Sophia closed the folder and met his eyes. Something had changed in her during those 3 hours. The heartbreak had transformed into something colder, harder, more focused. Adrian had made a mistake. He had underestimated her. He saw a naive young woman who loved him. He didn't see the daughter of a self-made billionaire who had learned business strategy at her father's knee since she was 6 years old. Made her pause. She remembered Adrian mentioning a former partner once, dismissively calling him unstable and bitter. At the time, Sophia had believed him without question. Now, she questioned everything. The meeting. The next afternoon, Sophia told Adrian she had a doctor's appointment. He barely looked up from his phone, muttering something about a conference call. Sophia drove to Riverside Coffee, her heart pounding the entire way. Marcus Reed was exactly where he said he would be. He was in his late 30s, with kind brown eyes and tired lines around his mouth. He stood when Sophia approached, offering his hand formally. Thank you for coming, he said quietly. I know this must be difficult. They sat in a corner booth, away from other customers. Marcus slid the brown folder across the table. Sophia stared at it like it might bite her. Before you open that, Marcus said, I want you to know I'm not doing this for revenge. I moved on. I rebuilt. But when I saw your engagement announcement in the business section, I couldn't stay silent. No one deserves what he did to me. And no one deserves what he's planning to do to you. What is he planning? Sophia asked, her voice barely a whisper. Marcus took a deep breath. Adrian doesn't want you, Ms. Carter. He wants Carter Enterprises. And he has a very specific plan to get it. Sophia opened the folder. Inside were financial documents, emails, contracts, and photographs. Evidence of fraud, embezzlement, and manipulation from Adrian's previous business ventures. Marcus explained everything patiently. How Adrian would befriend successful people, gain their trust, position himself as indispensable, and then systematically steal from them. How he used charm and manipulation to isolate his victims from anyone who might warn them. He did it to 3 companies before mine, Marcus said. And he's doing it to Carter Enterprises right now. Look at the bank statements from your fathers. Sophia didn't respond to either of them. Instead, she opened her laptop and started a new document. She titled it simply, Evidence. If Adrian wanted to play games, she would play too. But she would play smarter. She would play to win. Over the next week, Sophia transformed. On the outside, she remained the loving fiancée, excitedly planning her dream wedding. She smiled at dress fittings. She tasted wedding cakes with enthusiasm. She discussed flower arrangements with Victoria and laughed at Adrian's jokes. But privately, she became a detective. She started paying attention to Adrian's schedule, his phone calls, his unexplained absences. She noticed how he always stepped away to take certain calls. She saw how Victoria's eyes followed him across every room. She watched them exchange glances when they thought no one was looking. The unexpected ally. 2 weeks after the engagement party, Sophia received an unexpected email at her personal account, not her work one. The sender was Marcus Reed, a name she recognized but had never met. The subject line read, About Adrian Blackwood. Sophia's hand hovered over the delete button. It could be spam. It could be someone trying to scam her. But something made her click. The email was brief. Ms. Carter, my name is Marcus Reed. I was Adrian Blackwood's business partner 3 years ago. He destroyed my company and my reputation with lies and fraud. I have information you need to see before you marry him. If you're interested in the truth, meet me at Riverside Coffee tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'll be wearing a gray jacket and carrying a brown folder. You can walk away at any time. But I think you deserve to know who you're about to marry. This isn't revenge. This is prevention. Sophia read the email 5 times. Her first instinct was to ignore it. But something about the careful wording, the lack of emotion, the specific details. Sophia straightened her spine, smoothed down her emerald green dress. and took a deep breath. She checked her reflection in a nearby window. Her makeup was perfect. Her long dark hair fell in elegant waves. Her smile looked genuine. No one could see the storm raging inside her. She walked back to the party with steady steps. Playing the game. There you are. Adrian appeared at her side, slipping his arm around her waist. He smelled like Victoria's perfume, but his smile was dazzling. I was looking everywhere for you. Your aunt wants a picture with us. Sophia looked up at him. This man she had loved. This man she had imagined building a life with. His blue eyes sparkled with false warmth. For a split second, she saw a flicker of something else, maybe guilt, maybe fear, but it vanished so quickly she might have imagined it. I was just getting some air, Sophia said, her voice steady. It's overwhelming, isn't it? All this love and support. We're lucky, Adrian said, kissing her forehead. The same lips that had been on Victoria minutes ago. Victoria appeared moments later, her cheeks flushed, her lipstick slightly smudged. There's my favorite couple, she squealed, hugging Sophia tight. I can't believe you're getting married in 3 months. I'm so happy for you. Sophia hugged her back, feeling Victoria's racing heartbeat against her own chest. I couldn't do any of this without you, Sophia said sweetly. You've been such an amazing maid of honor. Victoria's smile faltered for just a second. Of course, that's what best friends are for. The plan takes shape. That night, after all the guests had left and Adrian had driven home, Sophia sat in her childhood bedroom staring at the ceiling. Her phone buzzed with messages. Adrian sending heart emojis and saying how much he loved her. Victoria sending photos from the party with captions about true love and forever friendship. Sophia's father, Richard Carter, had built Carter Enterprises into a multi-million-dollar construction and development company. For 40 years, he had worked with integrity and old-fashioned handshake deals. But the industry was changing, becoming more corporate and cutthroat. Richard was getting older, talking about retirement, and everyone knew Sophia would inherit the company. Adrian had positioned himself perfectly. He worked in commercial real estate, so their relationship seemed natural. He offered to help modernize Carter Enterprises, to bring in new technology and younger clients. Richard had been grateful, even relieved. He started including Adrian in board meetings and business decisions. You found a good man, her father had told Sophia one evening. Someone who cares about you and understands business. That's rare. But standing in the garden now, watching Adrian laugh with guests who had no idea what kind of man he really was, Sophia saw the truth clearly. He never loved her. He loved what she represented. Access, control, money, power. The moment of decision. Sophia could have screamed. She could have stormed into that pavilion and dragged them both into the party, exposing them in front of everyone. Her hands trembled with the desire to grab Victoria's perfectly styled hair and demand answers. Her heart screamed for her to humiliate Adrian the way he had humiliated her. But something stopped her. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was the way her mind suddenly became crystal clear, cutting through the fog of betrayal with cold, sharp logic. If she confronted them now, Adrian would have an explanation ready. He always did. He would charm his way out of it, make her look paranoid or crazy. Victoria would cry and apologize, say it was a mistake, that it meant nothing. And everyone would pressure Sophia to forgive, to save face, to avoid embarrassment. No, that wasn't good enough. She remembered how it all began. Adrian Blackwood had walked into her father's company Christmas party like he owned the room. Tall, confident, with dark hair and blue eyes that seemed to see right through people. He was a rising star in commercial real estate, ambitious and charming. Everyone wanted to know him. But that night, he only wanted to know Sophia. You're Richard Carter's daughter, he had said, approaching her with 2 glasses of wine. I've heard you're the real brain behind Carter Enterprises. Sophia had laughed, taking the wine. My father built that company from nothing. I just help where I can. Modest and beautiful, Adrian had smiled. Dangerous combination. From that night, Adrian pursued her relentlessly. Flowers arrived at her office every Monday. He remembered every detail she mentioned in passing. He showed up at her favorite bookstore, her yoga class, the coffee shop where she worked on weekends. At first, it felt romantic. Later, she realized it felt calculated. But by then, she was already in love. The isolation begins. Adrian had a way of making suggestions sound like loving concern. 6 months into their relationship, he worried about her friend group. "Victoria seems jealous of our happiness," he would say. "I just don't want anyone to hurt you." When Sophia's college friends invited her for girls' weekends, Adrian would plan romantic surprises at the same time. "I missed you so much," he would say. "I just want to spend every moment with you." Slowly, quietly, Sophia's world shrank. Her friends stopped calling as often. Family dinners became less frequent because Adrian always had important business events she needed to attend. Even her relationship with her father became strained because Adrian insisted on handling the business discussions to protect her from stress. The only friend who remained was Victoria. Looking back now, Sophia understood why. Victoria had been part of the plan all along. The business connection. The champagne glasses sparkled under the fairy lights like tiny stars. Sophia stood at the edge of the garden party, her engagement ring catching the soft glow of lanterns hung between the oak trees. 200 guests laughed and danced on the lawn of her parents' estate. Everyone celebrated the perfect love story between Sophia Carter and Adrian Blackwood. Everyone except Sophia, who had just seen something that shattered her entire world. It happened so fast. One moment, she was walking toward the rose garden to catch her breath from all the congratulations and hugs. The next moment, she froze behind a marble pillar, her heart stopping completely. Through the arched window of the garden pavilion, she saw them. Adrian, her fiancé of 6 months, had Victoria pressed against the wall, kissing her with desperate hunger. Victoria, her best friend since college, ran her fingers through his hair the way Sophia had done 1,000 times. The frozen moment. Time stopped. The music from the party faded into a distant hum. Sophia's hand gripped the cold marble pillar so hard her knuckles turned white. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't think. All she could do was watch as the two people she trusted most in the world betrayed her in the shadows, while everyone celebrated their lies in the light. Adrian pulled back from Victoria, his hand caressing her cheek. Sophia couldn't hear their words, but she could read Victoria's lips. After the wedding, Adrian nodded, smiling that charming smile that had won Sophia's heart 2 years ago. Then he kissed Victoria again, slower this time, like they had all the time in the world. Sophia stumbled backward, her silver heels catching on the stone path. A waiter rushed toward her, concerned, but she waved him away with a forced smile. The smile she had perfected over the past 2 years of being Adrian's perfect girlfriend. She steadied herself against a tree, her mind racing with a million thoughts at once. The perfect courtship,